Hello everyone, first news update for 13th of March. Now it's 10 to 10 in the morning Moscow time, and I have prepared quite a number of news about some major developments, and hopefully you will find this update interesting and useful. Although before I start, dear friends, let me address our bigger community. As you know, I publish first 10, sometimes 15 minutes of the updates on YouTube and Rumble also, and there seems like many members of our community do like these short videos on YouTube and Rumble. And dear friends, if you are watching this video on those platforms and if you like content, please consider to support this independent media project while you can, because unfortunately financial situation of this project is such that maybe in a couple of weeks time I will have no option but to start looking for a day job, and in that case I will only have time left after work to make content, make news updates for Patreon and Boosty, which means no more videos on YouTube, Rumble, no more updates on Telegram or Twitter X page. And well, I feel obligated to inform you that that situation. And well, if you prefer to have these videos on YouTube and or the Rumble channels, then please consider to support. You can do it through several means, through PayPal platform, through Boosty platform, or you can subscribe to Patreon page and choose your level of monthly support. But anyways, I have to inform you what kind of in what kind of situation this project is right now, so that no one would be surprised when they will open my YouTube channel in 2 or 3 weeks time and they will see no updates no more. Hopefully project will manage to survive, but even if not, dear friends, I'm truly grateful for your assistance, for your attention, support that this project received in last 3 years. It was a great ride, by the way, unique opportunity, truly unique opportunity to work in this field of news and political commentary, and I'm forever gonna be grateful to you all. Thank you, dear friends. I understand life is difficult and it's not easy to support some independent channels somewhere in Russia, but well, at least we had a good journey, by the way, and hopefully I really hope my content was truly useful and informative, right? Still, once I will find the job, I will still have enough time to continue work on Patreon and Boosty to make updates for these platforms. And therefore, I'm not gonna leave this field of news and political commentary completely, but well, it will be a little sad that I may no longer be active on YouTube and Rumble, but things happens. Sometimes we just have to acknowledge that this road is finishing here, and you have to take another one to move forward. Maybe this is the case exactly. So therefore, I'm a little bit sad that this project is constantly in the survival mode, but in other hand, I'm also happy that I had this unique opportunity to work for 3 years now in this field. Anyways, it's all up to community, isn't it? If community wants this project to survive, it will survive. If not, then at least, as I said, at least I will stay on Patreon and Boosty, which Patreon has turned into sort of private club at this point. Small number of people that are interested to have access to news and their opinions from Russia. And well, as long as I have support on Patreon, I will continue to work and provide updates. Okay, enough of these talks. I just had to speak about this, dear friends. I have to inform our bigger community about the situation so that no one is going to be surprised if one day really I just check my channel and there is nothing there. Anyways, let's continue with the news now. I apologize that intro took this long, but yet again, I promise you that I'm going to be real always, right? And that's what am I doing. I'm worrying about future of this project. I'm already beginning to looking for a day job, and it will be better if I will inform you upfront about possibility that one day there might be no more updates on YouTube and Rumble. Anyways, let's go through some news, and we have RIA Novosti's report here, which is based on Russian Defense Ministry's latest update that during the nighttime, early hours of this morning, Russian air defense systems intercepted 77 drones that were launched by Kyiv regime with assistance of NATO to strike deep into Russian territory. 30 drones were intercepted over the Bryansk region, 25 drones over the Kaluga region, 6 drones each over the Kursk and Voronezh regions, 5 drones each over the Rostov and Belgorod regions. Unfortunately, in Voronezh region, there was some casualties as a result of this strike, and some damage was done to civilian infrastructure. Also, there was some damage in Kaluga region. This is early information at this point, preliminary data, and during the day probably we'll receive some update on that, and of course I will share additional information in next updates on Telegram and Twitter X pages. Also, dear friends, we have a TASS News Agency's report that the operation to liberate the Kursk region has entered its final stage. Obviously, nowadays, many people worldwide are paying attention to developments in the Kursk salient area, understandably so. Russian armed forces conducting large-scale, extremely successful offensive operations, and well, it is a final stage for sure when it comes to Kursk salient. The commander of the North Group of troops of the Russian Federation reported to Russian President Vladimir Putin about entering the final stage of the operation to liberate the territory of Kursk region from the militants of the armed forces of Ukraine. This was reported to TASS by Presidential Press Secretary Dmitry Peskov. And if we zoom in into Kursk salient area, dear friends, as you can see, areas that are technically speaking still under control of Kyiv regime is shrinked to, I mean, its tiniest, smallest pointer right now. Yesterday, in the second update, I reported in second update on Patreon and Boosty, I reported that according to some sources, including big channels on Telegram like Slaviangrad, the Russian troops established operational control over their Suja city itself, which is their biggest town that was occupied temporarily by Kyiv regime's forces since their invasion, and clearing operation is underway in the Suja. Even this map, by the way, is acknowledging Russian progress in the Suja direction. And for example, we have this report here that Anatoly Shary, Ukrainian journalist, blogger, public figure, based on his sources, is saying that Kyiv regime's troops completely lost Suja, and according to him, Kyiv regime's forces are trying desperately to find safe ways to leave this town. At this point, only these 4 settlements, Oleshnya, Gogolevka, Rubanshi, and Goncharovka, is technically speaking under control of Kyiv regime, and the Kyiv regime's forces and NATO mercenaries in the area are trying to use surrounding areas with these villages to flee to Sumy region, which is temporarily still controlled by Zelensky's regime, Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky. But this main road is under complete direct Russian fire control. Also, surrounding areas are under Russian control. Russian troops established liberated basically Milovoy settlement, which means that Turkey regime's forces gonna have a hard time in their attempts to escape, from Sumy region. They are basically encircled, and their head of Russian General Staff, Gerasimov, confirmed this information yesterday during a conversation, during the meeting with the Russian president, who visited one of their headquarters in the Kursk region. And for example, let's go through this news now. Ukrainian forces in the Kursk region, Western Russia, have been encircled and isolated. Chief of General Staff Valery Gerasimov said during the meeting with the Russian president. He added that 86% of the territory of the Kursk salient that was initially occupied by invading force is liberated now, and that their systemic destruction of the enemy forces is underway. Gerasimov reported on the situation in the Kursk region during a meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin at one of their command posts in the area. And by the way, it was a rare occasion when Russian President was in full military uniform. Usually he is in a costume, in civilian dress, but yesterday while visiting this command post in Kursk salient, he was in military uniform. Many journalists, many commentators paid attention to this nuance, because very rarely Russian president dressed up as in military, although he is obviously commander-in-chief of Russian armed forces. Over the past 5 days, Russia's North Military Group took control of 24 settlements and 259 square kilometers of the territory. Gerasimov reported to Russian president. In the central areas, Russian forces have advanced and crossed into, in certain areas, Russian forces have advanced and crossed into Ukraine's Sumy region, which is also true, by the way. And this is the areas that Gerasimov is talking about. Russian troops are conducting now operations in the Sumy region, and basically we can observe beginning of the creation of their demilitarized zone in the Sumy region, right next to Russian border, or the buffer zone, as it called also. And Russian president, by the way, during this meeting with the leadership of Russian army, actually highlighted the importance of creation of a buffer zone, which means liberation of at least borderline areas of the Sumy region from this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky. Also, Gerasimov stated that Ukrainian army suffered about 67,000 casualties in the area since the beginning of invasion. Thousands and thousands of military equipment of the Kyiv regime, mainly Western-made military equipment, by the way, was also destroyed. I was reporting about it on regular basis. Gerasimov added during that meeting that their nearest future Ukrainian troops would be defeated in Kursk completely, and that Moscow's forces would reach the border. He said that enemy soldiers were surrendering, with 430 prisoners already been taken. Well, I mean, numbers speak volume, isn't it? Already 430 militants of the Kyiv regime, and I guess number of NATO mercenaries have surrendered in last few days. Interfax is also reporting that the Russian president, during this meeting with Gerasimov and other commanders of the Russian armed forces, set up the task of defeating the enemy in the Kursk region as soon as possible. This is reported by Interfax news agency. So Russian President Vladimir Putin has set the task for the Russian armed forces to defeat their enemy in the Kursk region as soon as possible and completely liberate the territory of their region. Indeed, this is quote, by the way, indeed, your task is to completely defeat their enemy who is entrenched in the territory of Kursk region and is still fighting here, and completely liberate their territory of the Kursk region in the near future as soon as possible, Putin said during this meeting at one of their commander posts in the Kursk. Russian president added that it is necessary to restore the situation along the state border line. And as I already mentioned, the Russian president also emphasized the importance of creation a safe zone or demilitarized zone right next to the Russian border, which means creation of a buffer zone. So therefore, one should expect Russian military operations in the Sumy region to further intensify once this operation, counter-terrorist operation in the Kursk salient, will end. And it is going to end before end of this week, by the way, as I predicted, when this offensive operation, this final offensive of the Russian forces started in Kursk salient. RT is also reporting that Russian president during this meeting issued a dire warning to foreign mercenaries. So foreign mercenaries fighting for Kiev should be aware that they do not have the same legal protection under the international law as the regular Ukrainian combatants. Russian President Vladimir Putin said during the visit to the Kursk region, speaking at their meeting with the Russian general staff and military commanders on Wednesday, the president stated that any Ukrainian soldier or foreign mercenary captured on Russian soil can be treated as a terrorist under the Russian law. All people who commit crimes against the civilian population on the territory of the Kursk region confront our forces, law enforcement agencies, and the special services are terrorists in accordance with the laws of the Russian Federation, Putin said. This is how the Russian Prosecutor General's office and their investigative committee qualify their actions. Putin stressed that Russia treats and will treat all people humanely, including prisoners of war, but warned that the mercenaries lack the same legal status as regular troops. I still want to remind you that foreign mercenaries are not protected by the 1949 Geneva Convention on POWs. The Russian leader stated the border region faced a major incursion by Ukraine in August 2024, and the Russian troops have been gradually pushing them back in an operation that has intensified in recent weeks, especially in the last several days. In liberated areas, Russian investigators have found evidences of Ukrainian troops committing rape, torture, and murder against civilians during the occupation. Foreign mercenaries have also played an active role in Ukraine's incursion, according to Russian authorities, who have warned that any troops supporting Kiev will be considered a legitimate target under the Geneva Convention. Regular combatants fighting for a recognized party in the conflict are granted protection if captured by their opposing side. POW status guarantees access to shelter, food, medical care, and protection from hostilities, as well as safeguards against violence, intimidation, and degrading treatment. They also cannot be prosecuted simply for taking part in hostilities unless they have committed war crimes. However, Article 47 of Additional Protocol 1 to the Convention explicitly excludes mercenaries from being classified as regular combatants, meaning they are not entitled to a POW status. So I guess Russian president mentioned this topic for a reason. This is a clearly message to foreign mercenaries that they will be treated very differently than combatants, legal combatants or the POWs, based on laws, by the way, right? Although Russian president also emphasized, it should be also noticed that Russian president also emphasized that Russian troops will treat all capture their enemy personnel with their humane approach as much as possible. So this is when it comes to Kursk salient area, dear friends. I expect before end of this week, Kursk liberation of their these borderline parts of the Kursk region to be completed, and no one should be surprised if even already today Russian Defense Ministry will announce liberation of the Sudzha city, which is definitely main biggest town biggest town that this invading force managed to capture. Maybe before end of today or tomorrow, Russian Defense Ministry will report about liberation of entire borderline area. Although, let's see, thousands of troops of Kiev regime are trapped in these small pockets now, and maybe negotiations are on the way to force this group of Kiev regime's troops to lay down arms, save their lives, and surrender. I'm quite sure Russian Defense Ministry's representatives will try to explain to their enemy forces that any attempts on their part to escape into Sumy region gonna end up being devastating for them, and they will lose 70-80% of the personnel during this attempt. So it is better for them to lay down arms and surrender. Let's see what kind of decision commanders of these Kiev regime's forces that are now encircled in borderline areas will make. But in any case, today is the first day, isn't it? Before end of this week, I expect this counter-terrorist operation in Kursk salient area to be finalized. Hello everyone, if you find this video interesting and useful, please click that like button, leave some commentary and share with your friends. If you like my work and want to support this project, you can do it through several means. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment, including links to my Patreon and Boosty pages, where you can have access to full shows in case you are interested. Thank you.